I need to see your happy face. Chris Lincoln.
Ready to go. Let me tell Wayne he's going to speak tonight, too.
Hey, Bill. Bill. That's Rick's.
Okay.
And the box to it is right there.
Okay, so it's not going to be actually presented by
No, he's not here.
Okay. All right. Now, does Rick just come up? He doesn't speak?
He can, if he wants to, hand him the mic.
Okay.
If he doesn't, I'll push him up the ramp.
Okay.
Does that work? He's right down at table 1.
We just need to ask him.
I mean, I told him. I talked to him before this, and he said, do I have to say anything? And I said, it's up to you.
I'll just go ask him right now.
All right. I'm getting ready to introduce and get this thing going. You ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5th annual Tulsa Sports Charities Legends in Sports Rivalry Dinner. I'm Tommy Thompson, the Executive Director, and at this time, it is my distinct privilege to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, the Executive Vice President and co-founder of Wintercom Productions, and the Sports Director at Channel 8 KTUL-TV, Mr. Chris Lincoln.
Thank you, Tommy. Hello again, everyone. Take your seat and shut up. I'm going to say some good stuff. Attention, please. Welcome to another Legends in Sports Dinners from the Tulsa Sports Charities. Now, last year, football was our focus. Had a great time with the Big Red with Tom Osborne and Barry Switzer. This year we've switched to basketball and to the great Bedlam rivalry with Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. And of course, when we think of the long history of that great rivalry, battles on the hardwood between the Cowboys and the Sooners, they've met 210 times in basketball. The all-time rivalry stands at Oklahoma 122, Oklahoma State 88. Smattering of OU fans. The two state schools have been playing each other since 1908, which was the first year Oklahoma played basketball. But tonight we're focusing on two coaches who really had a major impact on this rivalry. Eddie Sutton, Oklahoma State. Come on, Cowboys, 1990, 2006. And Billy Ball, Billy Tubbs at Oklahoma, 1981 through 1994. Well, a lot of their friends and former rivals are here to honor them tonight. Our format will be very relaxed. We have our 3 orange chairs. We have video tributes, a surprise or two I know you're going to enjoy. We also will get a chance to raise some money for a very great cause, the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges. Exactly. Your generous donations and support, and we hope you'll continue that through the silent auction during the dinner. We'll also have a few very select live auction items. That money all going to help the charity, along with the Tulsa Sports Charities will be providing 4 $10,000 scholarships for TU, ORU, OSU, and OU tonight. So thank you very much. We'd like to tip off our evening with our official welcome. Please welcome up the Honorable Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Oklahoma, Jerry Askins. Lieutenant Governor, please join us.
Thank you so much, and welcome to what a wonderful event we're getting ready to have. You know, as Oklahoma celebrates 100 years of history, you look at the athletic heroes that we have had in this state, and there are many states much older than Oklahoma that would give anything to have had as many champions on the field, on the court, and in the community that we have had. It is wonderful to be in a community like Tulsa, who celebrates the athletic prowess of our individual athletes as well as those who have coached them to that success. But the best part about tonight is the absolute opportunity that we are giving to those individuals who are competitive in a different way, through the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges and through the scholarship programs that are being supported by your attendance. Thank you to the hosts, thank you to the sponsors, and thank you to the individuals who have been here tonight to recognize these wonderful coaches who have taught us how to bring out the best in every individual. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry Askins, our Lieutenant Governor. We'd ask Dr. Jeffrey Francis to come forward now. He'll give us our invocation. Heaven knows when you get this many Cowboys and Sooners together in one room, we need it. We brought in the neutral man of God from the University of Tulsa, Dr. Jeffrey Francis. Thank you, sir.
Let us join our hearts in prayer, shall we? We thank you, O Lord, for this evening and for your providential care that brings us here, for the gifted athletes, the gifted coaches, those who have touched so many lives. We thank you. We ask your blessing upon the recipients and honorees this night. We ask your blessing upon those who will receive great benefit from the sports charities. And we ask your blessing upon this meal, that it might nourish and strengthen us. And we pray that your Holy Spirit might be in our conversations and in our embrace this night. We pray in the name of the one who was and is to come. To you, O God, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Francis. You'll notice your salad has been set as you enjoy your first course. We do have some special presentations to make. We want to begin our program, though, with our chairman of the Legends in Sports Committee from Bartlett Equipment Company and a proud OSU Cowboy. Welcome up, Gary Bartlett.
On behalf of Tulsa Sports Charities, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. My function with this dinner tonight is really to walk along behind Tommy Thompson and throw cold water on him and keep him cooled off for all the hard work he's put into this thing tonight. And Tommy, really appreciate all the work you've done, and hope everybody sometime tonight will stop and shake your hand and just wear you out, because this is a wonderful, wonderful event, and appreciate all your hard work. And I can't thank Tommy without giving a voice of thanks to Dan and Nancy Roberts and the folks over at Premier Staffing and Track One, because they give Tommy the freedom to do what he does and be involved in the charity work in Tulsa, and we really appreciate all that they do. And I also want to acknowledge our dinner committee and all the work they've done tonight. I've especially appreciated getting to know Don Edwards and all the work that he's done and the contacts he's made with coaches and players. Appreciate you, Don. And if y'all don't know Nate Waters, you need to get by and say hi to Nate. He's just been a relentless and very enthusiastic recruiter for us, and we really appreciate all the work Nate has done. The rest of our dinner committee consists of Larry Houchin, the honorary chair, J.V. Haney, Jessica Hargis, Tim Hendricks, Darrell Horan, Budge Lewis, Chris Lincoln, Lori Mathis, Bruce O'Connor, Ted Owens, John Phillips, Catherine Sanditon, and Troy Tabor. I want you all to give them all a round of applause too. Thank you. Tulsa Sports Charities has 3 specific goals that we try to accomplish. We want to have a lot of fun, we want to raise a lot of money, then we want to give all the money away. And that is a lot of fun. We don't have any paid staff. We don't have any paid consultants. All of the money that we raise here tonight goes to charities. Proceeds from this dinner are going to 4 scholarships, which we will talk about later, and to the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges. I think it's especially appropriate that individuals with physical gifts, special gifts, can take part in aiding individuals with physical challenges. And I love the idea that we can take an occasion like a sports rivalry and all the energy that goes into that and turn that energy into something that helps improve the lives of people in our community. I'm real excited about that. If any of you decide that you'd like to participate in a bigger way, we'd love to talk to you after the dinner. If you'd like to participate in any of our scholarships or supporting the center, we would love to have you come and be a part of what we're doing. And now I'd like to introduce to you Lori Mathis, the Executive Director of the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges, who's going to say a few words to us about the center. Lori?
Good evening, and welcome to this year's Legends in Sports Rivalry Dinner. On behalf of the Board of Directors, the staff, and most especially the members served by the center, I'd like to welcome you, and it is my pleasure and privilege to be here with you this evening. I would first and foremost like to thank Tulsa Sports Charities, Tommy Thompson and his committee for the planning and the event this evening, and for being so incredibly supportive of the center's mission, services, and programs. Second, I'd like to thank the table sponsors for your financial support this evening. It is greatly appreciated. And next, I would like to recognize those individuals here with us this evening who are members of the center's board of directors. Would those of you that are here please stand and be recognized? Dave Bond, Catherine Sanditon, Jim Auger, Gary Bartlett, Nate Waters, Ann McKellar, Sandra Gardner, and Nancy and Ben Towson. Let's give them a round of applause. For those of you who don't know about the center, I'd like to take a few minutes to share our story. The center began in 1957 in the basement of Hillcrest Hospital, when the Tulsa chapter for the National Council for Jewish Women identified a need for people with physical handicaps and challenges. And now, 50 years later, we still stand by the very same mission, providing opportunities for people with physical challenges to improve and enhance the quality of their life. We currently have an active membership of over 600 individuals and see an average daily attendance of 120. Our members come to us with a variety of challenges: stroke survivors, severe diabetics, persons with traumatic brain and spinal cord injuries, visual and hearing impairments, and a variety of other diagnoses such as cystic fibrosis, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, and polio, just to name a few. We offer more than 50 classes each week, both in our center as well as in the community. We are the only facility of its kind in this region. We offer a wide range of rehabilitative services. Not only do we have a state-of-the-art fitness center with various adaptive and assistive devices, but we also boast an amazing art studio where some of the finest work ever created is available. In addition, daily community outings help our members feel as if they're a part of this community, things that you and I take very much for granted. Going bowling, to the movies, lunches out, going to museums, horseback riding, and special events such as Mayfest and the State Fair. As I was preparing my comments for this evening, and I looked over the list of some of our very distinguished guests that we have in our presence, I couldn't help but think that many of us, either as children ourselves or the children we have in our lives, we often look to our sports figures as our role models, our mentors, our heroes, if you will. And then I started to think about our members of the center, that we get the privilege of serving each and every day. And I quickly began to realize that those members are heroes in my eyes. I admire them for their strength, their determination, and their very big hearts. So in light of that, I have one last group that I'd like to recognize this evening, and that's a group of very special people. Special heroes. And that is members of the center that are with us this evening. Would those of you here either stand or wave to be recognized? If you have a chance, I encourage you to meet our members. I promise you that you will leave here feeling truly blessed. And now I have just a couple of short stories that I want to share with you about a couple of the heroes that I've met since coming to the center. The first hero is a gentleman named Don. Don is a 2-time stroke survivor. His right arm, his dominant arm, is completely paralyzed, and Don is confined to a wheelchair. When I first met Don, he was in our fitness center, and he was working on standing up out of his wheelchair, holding his head high so that he could strengthen the muscles in his back and his neck. He was on number 7 of 30. And it was easy to see that this was very much a struggle for Don. But he made it all the way to number 30. And when I asked him how he felt, he said that he felt wonderful and that he knew this was just one step to his ultimate goal. And when I asked him what that ultimate goal was, he said that it was to walk again. And I have no doubt in my mind that Don absolutely will walk again with the help of the center. The second hero I'd like to tell you about is Susan. Susan was diagnosed with an eye disease at the young age of 28. And now, 30 years later, she is legally blind. But Susan comes to the center every single day, and she engages herself in a variety of arts and craft projects, as well as more recently taking on and teaching a class as a volunteer. She's also more recently taken on a project that I very much admire. She is coordinating the efforts of volunteering and donating items to give back to our soldiers who are coming home from overseas. So this is a lady who could be so down and out about her own circumstances, and she finds it deep within herself to still give back to other people. Last week, Susan shared with me a comment that she had to make about the center, and she says that the center gives her a light of hope in her world of darkness. These are just two examples of many that I could share with you, but I've taken enough time this evening, and I know we have many more important aspects to cover of the dinner. So let me close by offering you this. If you have not had the chance to come and visit our facility, please take the time to do so. See our facility, meet our staff, but more importantly, come and visit our members. Let them share their story with you firsthand, and I know you will walk away having met your very next hero. Thank you again for being here tonight and your support of this fine dinner, and I look forward to seeing all of you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Lori Mathis, with our Executive Director of the Center for the Individuals with Physical Challenges. Tommy Thompson asked me to hold up this great poster of the evening with our Legends in Sports rivalry with Eddie Sutton and Billy Tubbs, the date of the event here. Our artist Dudley does a fabulous job with these, and Tommy Thompson is offering these one time only for $5, located in the very back there. And if the coaches sign it, it'll be worth $7.50, $10. But they're $5, and Tommy's over there in the corner, so before you leave tonight, make sure you get your souvenir poster here, and again, help out our Center for the Individuals with Physical Challenges. Well, one of the main goals also of Tulsa Sports Charities are the 4 $10,000 scholarships for our area universities. We want to present those tonight, starting with the first of our $10,000 scholarships. Begin by inviting up the athletic director of the undefeated, and with one vote in the Associated Press National Rankings, University of Tulsa Golden Hurricane. Please welcome up Bubba Cunningham to present the Dr. George Mauerman Scholarship.
Chris, thank you very much. It is indeed a pleasure to be here, and I have the distinct honor to award the George Mauerman Scholarship to a senior from Broken Arrow, Becca Buckner. Now, this week in particular, we have a football game, so don't let this outfit fool you. She is TU, but she does not want to lose focus about our opponent this year. So congratulations to Becca and Dr. Mauerman for 35 years of service to the University of Tulsa. You've touched an awful lot of lives. We appreciate all your hard work and dedication. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Becca, $10,000 scholarship for her. Now I'd like to welcome up one of our legends in the crowd. We've got double duty for him tonight. Coach Ted Owens, make your way up here if you would, please. He's going to present the scholarship for Oral Roberts University. Ted Owens to make the presentation. Also invite up the athletic director at Oral Roberts University, Mike Carter. Come on up, gentlemen, for our presentation for the ORU scholarship, $10,000 scholarship to the Oral Roberts University General Fund. Hello, Coach.
Hi, Chris. How are you? Good evening. Oral Roberts loved athletics, and in particular basketball. And I know how pleased he must be now with the success that Mike Carter and Scott Sutton and their great coaches have had. And it's with great pleasure that the Sports Charities Committee gives this scholarship to Oral Roberts University.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Mike Carter. Now for the Bill and Anita Connors Scholarship for a deserving Oklahoma State University student. Welcome up Mr. Terrell Lester of the Claremore Daily Progress to present the OSU Scholarship. Terrell?
Chris? Well, everybody else has been rather short and sweet up here, and it befalls upon me, I think, to tell a little bit about Bill Connors. I guess everybody already knew about Oral Roberts University. I guess everybody knew about the University of Tulsa. This is going from Bill Connors and Nita Connors. And if you would let me just take a moment or two to talk about Bill Connors. Many in the room already know that Bill Connors was the sports writer par excellence. In Oklahoma, in the great Southwest, there was hardly anybody that could hold a candle to Bill Connors. Nationally, there was no one could hold a candle to Bill Connors locally. Locally meaning all of Oklahoma. Bill Connors, unfortunately, died in 1999, no longer with us, but he was the most respected of all journalists, not sports journalists, respected of all journalists in Oklahoma. And in 1964, September of 1964, when Bill ascended to the position of sports editor of the Tulsa World, the very first person he hired to join his staff was me. So since 1964, I had respected Bill before I went to work with him. I grew to worship Bill Connors after I went to work for him. And during that time, I became enamored and fell in love with his wife, Nita Connors, who is down here at table 1. Nita Connors, would you stand up, please? Stand up and be recognized. They don't need a spotlight in this room to find Nita Connors, because the sunshine is always in her life. She's the most beautiful lady there is in all of Oklahoma. So Nita Connors, the award, the scholarship, the $10,000 scholarship, is in the name of Bill and Nita Connors. It goes to a junior, someone who will be a junior in entering journalism at Oklahoma State, or when Bill graduated, Oklahoma A&M College. It will go to a student entering journalism at Oklahoma State, and to accept the $10,000 scholarship, Kirk Jewell, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Oklahoma State University Foundation. There he is. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. One more of our $10,000 scholarships. For that, we invite up the athletic director of the 4th-ranked, undefeated Oklahoma Sooner football team, Joe Castiglione, to hand out this scholarship for a Sooner here. Joe Castiglione, to give the Schusterman Family Scholarship. And you see, they recognize all the great work the Schusterman family does here in Tulsa and for the University of Oklahoma, Tulsa. Joe, welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris. And I'd say it's great to be in Tulsa, but it seems like we're going to take up residency this week and spending a great deal of time here. But it's an important community for us, for the University of Oklahoma, not just our OU Tulsa campus, but all of our University of Oklahoma family. And of course, doesn't take a lot of introduction to describe and express a gratitude toward the Schusterman family for what they mean to this university and what they've meant to so many people in this community and throughout the state. So anytime we can be a benefactor of their great feeling for our university and the people that this scholarship will support, it just gives us a chance to once again publicly say thank you to the Schusterman family and express our appreciation to them. And we wish the person that receives this scholarship on our campus much success in being part of the Sooner family. Thank you for thinking of us.
Thank you, Joe. I now see dinner being served. Hope you're enjoying that, the other white meat pork. We decided to get pork out of the way in case we decide to honor a Razorback somewhere down the line here, so take care of that for you tonight. We have 2 awards to present as you enjoy your dinner here. The first is the J.B. Haney Community Spirit Award. Where is the coach? J.B., stand up. Coach Haney, where is there so much for our community? The Spirit Bank and EOC Sports Scene. Every high school named J.B. Haney right here. We're honoring J.B. with the J.B. Haney Community Spirit Award. To present this award, we asked Mr. Ted Cundiff to come up, please. He is from Spirit Bank, in fact, the president of their Business Resource Center. and he'll be presenting a video, and this is a surprise. The person who's receiving this prestigious J.V. Haney Community Award has no idea that they're receiving the award tonight. So come on up here, Ed.
Thank you, Chris. This evening, as Chris mentioned, I'm here to present the J.V. Haney Community Spirit Award. Tonight, we have a person that is no stranger to the Tulsa community. She's a product of Hale High School and has worked her way up through the ranks to become the athletic director of our Tulsa Public Schools. I spoke with a couple of notable sports authorities this afternoon, and the reoccurring theme kept coming up that this is a person that has really taken the sports community in the Tulsa Public Schools to a new level. And one of the comments that they said was that Dr. Stephanie Spring has advanced the athletics department more than any other AD that they could remember. Please focus your attention to the screens for a video tribute.
Stephanie Spring was a star basketball player at Hale High School in the 1980s, earning a spot on the All-State girls basketball team by the time she graduated. Even in her teens, she was obviously someone who never settled for good enough, and that determination continued through her years in Abilene Christian University's women's basketball program. When she graduated college, she came back home to Tulsa, teaching and coaching at East Central High School. Stephanie's Cardinal girls basketball teams made it to the state tournament 3 years in a row, snagging a runner-up spot in 1997. But it was time for the coach to move on to the top athletic spot in the district. In just 3 years as Tulsa Public Schools athletic director, Spring had found $40,000 in donations for middle and high school golf equipment. She'd started annual Jim Thorpe All-Star Football and Basketball Weekend, kicked off the TPS Charity Golf Tournament, started TPS's first girls basketball tournament, and created a cable television coaches show that highlights TPS athletics. The Tulsa World once quoted Spring as saying, "I try to be firm, consistent, and not compromise my integrity, regardless of the issue." Anyone who knows her strength of character is just one of the reasons Dr. Stephanie Spring is the recipient of this year's Tulsa Sports Charities Legends Community Service Award. Congratulations, Dr. Spring, on this award and on all of your accomplishments.
Wow. Kind of choked me up a little bit. I don't know who's responsible for all that, but first thing is, Tommy, you got me because about 30 seconds, 30 seconds into it, I'm like, I wish I hadn't eaten the spinach salad because my green in my teeth is going to be on 2 big screens. So hopefully that didn't happen. This is really a surprise. This is kind of like Academy Awards. People show up and say, "Oh, I'm so surprised," and they pull in their pocket and pull out a deal and read about who to thank. I don't have that in my pocket. I really am surprised, and Tommy and Tulsa Sports Charities and the board and Mr. Don Edwards, I know you're involved. I appreciated it. It means a lot. Being the athletic director of a multi-school system is kind of a balancing act. I've told people before, it's like having 9 kids. You've got 9 of them. They all have different personalities. They all have different needs. They all have a different set of friends. And to keep all of them happy is pretty challenging. And it's hard to do. And I think probably in a room this big with this many people, there are probably some, well, I know there's 2 current ADs, Bubba and Mr. Castiglione there. And it's kind of a thankless job at times because the people you tend to hear from are the ones that want you call the school board, the superintendent, and they're unhappy with what you do. So this, on a personal level, means a tremendous amount to me. I mean, I got an email today, somebody wanted to get me fired, so, it happens, So at a personal level, this is very rewarding. I want to thank my mom and dad. It's kind of interesting. Today's my dad's 66th birthday, so I invited him. I told him, I said, this is a pretty cool deal. Tommy's, you'll enjoy it. My mom happens to be in town, so my parents, and I'm very fortunate to have loving parents who have done nothing but support me from the day I was born. Also, I have Mr. John Wheeler, my assistant AD, my administrative assistant, Cheryl Murphy, and director of PE, Barbara Marshall. We work together, and those guys keep me out of trouble on a daily basis. And I appreciate that. And Tommy, Don, and your group. But J.V. Haney, I have one story, and I'm going to be quiet because they've been moving right along, and I don't want to be the one to hold this thing up. But 2 weeks into my job, I called. I did not know J.V., and I called. I said, hey, will you have lunch with me? And we did, and we went to the old Charlie Mitchell's. It was at lunch, so we didn't have any cocktails, did we, J.V.? No cocktails, but we had a lunch, and I said, hey, these are some of my ideas, and we have been fast friends, and we were kidding earlier that I hug him, tell him I love him when I see him, because I do. He's like my family. And to have this award in your name, who I think is one of the heroes of Oklahoma high school athletics, who means more to Oklahoma high school athletics than a lot of people, who's just a complete advocate. That makes it even more special. So, thank you. I appreciate it. This confirms what I've tried to do from the day I walked in that office, which is to make things better for Tulsa Public Schools. And I am ready to go to work tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Congratulations, Stephanie. Now to present our final award, the Larry Brummett Courage Award. I want to welcome back to Tulsa an old friend of mine. We used to do Tulsa Roughneck Soccer together several years ago. He was at KRMG Radio, went down to the Dallas area. We know him from all his work on the Fox Network, and now I'm very proud to tell you that he has just recently been named the new television play-by-play voice of the three-time and defending NBA champion San Antonio Spurs. Welcome back to Tulsa, my friend Bill Land.
I was born a few years ago. I think Chris meant decades. It's my honor and pleasure to present the Larry Brummett Courage Award to a dear friend, Rick Scott. And many of you know Rick Scott. Many of you should know Rick Scott, and all of you have seen Rick Scott's work. And I think we have a little piece of video. Rick is most known for his days as producer, as well as cameraman and full-time photographer of the Jimmy Houston Fishing Show. And I think we've got an example of some of Rick's stuff.
Celebrating a world record year, this is Jimmy Houston Outdoors.
Rising with the morning sun, I got no work today. You might find me up on the bayou or over in the Ocean Bay. Might be fishing on a mountain stream or a lake down in Tennessee. Might as well grab your fishing pole, come and go along with me.
Coming up, exciting fishing and family fun in our best season ever. Welcome to Jimmy Houston Outdoors.
We looked and we looked and we searched and we tried to find all of our contacts to get video of Rick, but if you know Rick, that would never happen, and it was always behind the scenes. In addition to his great work with the Jimmy Houston Fishing Show, Rick's also very well known for his days as a handheld cameraman on many local, regional, national productions of everything from college basketball, college football, local auto racing, college baseball, some of the Texas Rangers telecasts. And if you're not familiar with our business, that handheld camera guy is the guy that is down on the field or in basketball, underneath the basket, And there's a certain persona and personality that one must have to have that job and do it well and get those great pictures that come into your living room. Because you've met some of these great coaches we got here tonight. Sometimes they're not so friendly when that camera invades their huddle. But Rick has this smile about him and this manner about him to where he disarms people. And next thing you know, he's right there. And it's no matter what's going on, whether it's an argument with an official or it's the coach's strategy in the huddle, and they learn to trust people like that. And there's a real knack to that I've always admired about Rick. And he never would seem to get in trouble. Well, there was one night, Norm Stewart and his Missouri Tigers came to town to play Tulsa. And we all know how happy Norm was to ever play a non-conference game outside of Columbia, Missouri. And certainly had a pretty good reputation with officials. And the Tulsa fans greeted him the way we know how to greet opposing coaches, and we can thank Billy Tubbs for setting up some of that, I think. And so you know Norm's attitude, and better yet, Tulsa was whipping him. So he's not a happy man. He's on the floor. He's screaming at one of his kids. He is all over the officials as he calls a timeout. And just as he turns around, he is way out past the free throw line. My buddy Rick with that handheld camera is right there. And Norm turns around, I'm thinking, Rick has met his match because he's obviously embarrassed. He knows it's all been on television. What does Norm do? Nothing to Rick. He comes over to our broadcast position where we're doing the game. He jumps my case. He says, hey, blankety blank, the next time that blankety camera's in my face, it's in your blanking lap. You got it? I look out at Rick, backpedaling, smile on the face. Job well done once again, and naturally never catches any of the grief. It's just kind of a typical example of how Rick would work. All of that changed for Rick on January 2nd of 1994. Rick, his wife Sandy, his son Austin had gone down to Oklahoma City, had worked a telecast down there of hockey, spent the night with his parents, watched the Cowboys in the playoffs, were coming back on a Sunday, and I-44, a little rain at night, he was involved in a horrific car accident with an 18-wheeler that took the life of Sandy and his son Austin and left Rick paralyzed in a wheelchair, very little movement with his arms and his hands and his upper body. And all I could think was, is there anything worse that could happen to lose the ones closest to you, and yet you are left in that condition to deal with the aftermath? And from the day that I first visited him, which was the next day in the hospital at St. Francis, J.V. Haney and I went up there, until I talked to Rick again last night, every time I would visit with this guy, I would think, how am I going to cheer him up? What can I do to pick him up? It was always the reverse. Smile on the face. What can he do for you? How are things going? Never concerned about his own situation. I'm sure there were many, many difficult times over the days and months and years and in and out of rehab and hospitals, and I'm sure there were moments that he let go. But he never did around most of us, and he never did, it seemed like any of the time, show any of that. It never showed any self-pity. He had tremendous support. His mom, Betty, his father, Art, many of you in this room, financially as well as in other ways, showing personal care for him. But as you coaches know, you can give the greatest players all the support they want. But if they don't have it inside, it ain't going to happen. I don't care what it is. And Rick, with that toughness and that personality, that amazing attitude, the willing to fight through anything, a heart, and yes, courage, has managed over these 13-plus years to become independent once again. If you see a guy in a van go flying by you way too fast and you start to flip him off, it's probably Rick. Be careful. He's driving along with his two dogs, Penny and Dreyfus. He's involved in the community. He's a thriving member of our Tulsa society, involved with Big Brothers and Big Sisters and many other things. And Rick, I want to tell you, we've heard a lot about sports heroes, and usually it's the guy with a winning basket or a touchdown to beat the buzzer, maybe the walk-off homer. Rick, you are my hero. Congratulations. Come on up, please. The winner of the Larry Brummett Courage Award, Rick Scott. And Rick said, as usual, Bill, you took all the time. I'll just go ahead and go back to my chair. Sorry, fella. Thank you, Rick.
Rick Scott, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Brummett Courage Award winner. Congratulations. We do want to remind you the silent auction will remain open through dinner. We invite you to continue on with your dinner here. Enjoy that. When we return, we'll have a very special tribute to an Oklahoma icon and get underway with our salute to our two great rivals in sports, Billy Tubbs and Eddie Sutton. So enjoy the rest of your dinner, and we'll be back here for the live auction as well. We'll give you a countdown on the silent auction items here in a few minutes. So enjoy, folks. Come on, find your seats. I got a 10 o'clock sports show. By the way, I do have some breaking news. Have your attention, please. I have some breaking news. I just received a phone call right before the dinner started this evening from my daughter, Emily, who 6 months ago presented my wife, Becky, and me with our first grandchild. I happen to have a picture. Get a good shot of that. This is Lincoln Avery Crooks, our grandchild. That's his OU outfit. That's when he was on probation. And that's his Oklahoma State outfit. There's his TU and ORU outfit. So we got them all covered here. But Emily called to tell us that 6 months after Lincoln Avery Crooks came into the world, she is pregnant again with our second grandchild. So we're very excited. I can't believe that rat bastard son-in-law attacked my daughter again. All right, folks, ready to start the program again. Let's welcome up on stage another Oklahoma legend, the sport of rodeo's most recognized and honored announcers, Oklahoma legislator as well. Please welcome up to the stage Mr. Clem McSpadden. Clem's going to be helping me with our live auction tonight, but we want to take a moment to honor a longtime friend of his and of so many of us in the state of Oklahoma. Just about 3 months ago, we lost one of this state's and the sport of rodeo's true legends. Please look at the video screens. Here's our tribute to an Oklahoma icon, the late, great Jim Shoulders.
Jim Shoulders, called the Babe Ruth of rodeo, a record 16-time world champion cowboy, passed away at the age of 79 on June 20th, 2007, at his ranch in Henrietta, Oklahoma. Jim, who won his first world championship buckle in 1949, won 7 world titles in bull riding, 5 all-around world championships, and 4 bareback bronc titles.
This is Jim Shoulders of Henrietta, Oklahoma. And he says, let's have one look at him. All the way for the champion, Jim Shoulders.
He was a charter member of the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame and a member of the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Jim always said his greatest prize, though, was when he won the heart of his wife, Sharon, in 1946, a year after he graduated from Tulsa's East Central High School. They were married 60 years. They had 4 children, Jamie, Marvin, Jana, and Marcy, 6 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. At his funeral service on June 24th, and appropriately enough, the Jim Shoulders Living Legend Rodeo Arena at Nichols Park in Henrietta, over 1,000 friends and fans turned out, including more than 100 world rodeo champion cowboys, to pay their final respects. His longtime friend, Clem McSpadden, talked about what Jim Shoulders meant to rodeo.
Just an icon. The biggest tree in rodeo's forest has fallen. Just that simple. And there'll never be another one like him.
I've got those rodeo, just one more show, and then I'm gonna quit tomorrow blues.
What you saw is what you got. He remained a cowboy, family man, champion, greatest storyteller. Oh, good gosh, it ever was. Better than Pat Jones, maybe. I don't know, but I just can't describe. I've never lost a person other than a member of my family that hit me like Jim's loss.
And now, Lord, we've sent you a cowboy who knows how to ride. One that won't quit your cattle on a dark, stormy night, and he was always considerate of horses and men.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.
Jim Shoulders. Nobody knew him better or respected him more or loved him more than this man. Please welcome Clem McSpadden.
Thank you so much, Chris. I don't know how big a hurry you guys are in, but I'm not in a very big hurry, and I'd like to say a few things before I talk about Jim. You know, no, it'll be a few minutes. I've been around the lieutenant governor long enough to know that before I talk to a committee, it takes me 5 minutes just to clear off a spot, and I'm going to clear a spot off, and I want to say some things. I think I might be the best sports fan in northeastern Oklahoma. I grew up on coming down here in the early 30s and seeing the old Phillips 66ers play Arkansas in the Coliseum. And I can remember buying a ticket to see Jackie Robinson play the first year after, the first fall after he had been in the bigs. And I saw Dizzy Dean pitch here in 34, 35, right after he had beaten the Cardinals, beaten the Tigers 11-0 in a seventh and deciding game. But the most surprised I ever was about an event in the old A.B. Coliseum means so much to all of us that are 70 or 80 years old and can remember it. I've been a country and western music fan all my life, and there ain't no place at a sports banquet, I guess, for country music talk. But I can remember Roy Acuff and the Wabash Cannonball. And in the middle of the song, we would hear on the radio or KVOO, there would be the sound of a locomotive. And none of us knew how they made that sound. I'm like fifth grade or fourth or something. And I ride a horse to Tulsa 4 miles, live in the stockyards, catch a bus down to Tulsa, walk from the old bus station to the Coliseum. I'm the first person to buy a ticket, and I get a good front row seat. And right in the middle of that song, sure enough, Acuff, they played it. His guitar player, his dobro player, made that noise with his mouth. And I was the most surprised person in the whole country, and that's how Rogers County learned how that particular noise is made. So I take my hat off to the cultured CC&C people, Couth Class and Culture of Tulsa, who made that possible for all of us. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate that very much. Now, I want you to meet a lady that all of us who have known. I met her first crossing the street in 47, I believe. I was going to school at A&M then, still A&M to me, and I was trying to get back to Oologah, where we lived on the ranch out east of town there. And across the street walks Jim Shoulders with the prettiest little blonde I believe I'd ever seen. And he introduced Harold Emery, who was walking with me, and Larry Kilgore, a couple of friends from Tulsa that I went to school with, and they were to be married just in a few weeks, and he was going back to, or maybe it's 48, to Madison Square Garden for the first time. And she's been an inspiration to all of us who have known her. She's a mother. She raised a great family who are all here tonight. And she just has that little extra about her that very few women in your life ever have that you know, and we all just love her. I'd like you all to welcome our favorite lady of rodeo, Sharon Shoulders. North Wall. She and my wife Donna, we call the Bobbsey twins. They're both blondes, and they send jokes back and forth daily on the email, and Donna's there with her, and they're having a very good time tonight. And I'd like to ask the entire Shoulders clan to stand. Brother Joe, all of you people know, he was one of Mr. Iba's favorite people. Joe and I roomed together in 43. Joe from East Central, myself from Oologah, and we lived in a place, Ms. Turtle Lot, and it cost us $20 a month. We had a hell of a nice place, and a big old deal to hang clothes about this wide, and we never needed all that space. Of course, we got along good, and every other day there was a bakery right across the street, and we got day-old pies for 35 cents, and that's what we had for lunch every other day, with some milk. Joe is here. His daughter and her husband, the Wendell Hickses, are here. Marvin Paul, former average winner of the bull riding at the national finals, and one of the great young athletes of his day, Jim and Sharon's son, Jenna and Jamie, the whole crew there. Well, you guys please stand. You're over here somewhere. Where's this? There's the Shoulders table right there. One of Oklahoma's premier families, ladies and gentlemen. I've always admired athletes. I admired athletes, and especially cowboys, because they're not subsidized. It's what they can do with ability and luck. And it's what they can do when they play hurt. And I kind of get mad at these guys who get several $1 million just as a signing bonus, who never played a minute in a professional sport. But that's business. It's all right. I don't get mad at them, but our guys still aren't getting paid enough. I'll tell you one story about Jim Shoulders. A lot of you have heard about the great bucking bull Bodacious that bucked down Tough Heat him at the finals, jerked him down, 22 bones broken here and so forth and so on. Shoulders had 27 bones broken in a similar accident years before that at a rodeo in Texas. And Buster Ivory, who was running the arena then, and Sharon, had to get with the doctor to knock him back out so he didn't get up out of the hospital and go up the next afternoon to ride his bareback horse. This is a true story. The man was impervious to pain. I have seen him change hands when he'd break a hand or an arm and ride to the next rodeo with his other. That's like telling, I don't know, what's his name, A-Rod, to hit from the other side and hit 50 home runs and knock in 150. Can't do it. Shoulders could do it. But yet he had a side to him that was as nice and as genuine and as real as anybody you've ever known. Yeah, he was rough, and he could tell a story. The one I shared, I kind of cleaned it up a little bit at the funeral. He told a good friend of ours, Billy Fedderson, who was a professional bronc rider, and I retired from competition over at El Reno, that when he died, he wanted everybody to know he had AIDS, because he didn't want none of you gristle-headed so-and-so sniffing around old Sharon. I always thought that was a great story. Great story. And you would ask him, it was a good story, wasn't it? Pretty damn good. And you'd ask him how he's getting along, and he'd very deadpan say, compared to what? He had a heart condition that was inoperable. Had one of those defibrillators, and he lived a life he knew he could live 2 weeks or maybe 5 years. And yet he cared for people like myself who went through a cancer operation and a bunch of chemo. Called every day I had a chemo treatment to see how I was getting along. And he didn't live but a few weeks after that. That's kind of a person he was. I don't use the hero very often. God, this guy was a hero. 7 times all-around champion. Good Lord, I could go on for 5, and then 7 bull rides, 7, 5, 12, up to 16, 7, 4, and 5. We'll get you there. And he did all that in 10 years. All that in 10 years. And he was a reserve runner-up there all-around about 5 other times. Nobody will ever do what he did. And the biggest tree in the forest has fallen. Now, Sharon was good enough to bring the last hat that he wore. And Terrell Lester, my host tonight, I'm going to choke him one of these days. He said, and you are going to auction I said, I'm no auctioneer. And I see Chris Lincoln 10 minutes later, while we said, you are going to auction? I said, no, I'm no auctioneer. I used to when I was running for office over in the hill country. Where are you, Chris?
That's
okay.
all right.
Okay, don't leave me now.
All right.
We go to those pie suppers over in the hill country, and I'd auction the heck out of those pies and boxes. But anyway, I want to tell you about this hat. And Sharon pointed this out. This is a 50X Wrangler, and just a few weeks before he died, he put in his handwriting his initials because he's always afraid somebody would pick it up at a cafe or something and go off with it. Now, I happen to be a very small purchaser, Don and I, of stock in Semco. If this doesn't bring what it's supposed to, we're going to charge it to Semco and Dave Rader.
That sounds good.
Does Dave Rader work for those folks now?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we're going to sell these together?
Yeah, this is the Cowboys player that Clem McSpadden has pinned that all good Cowboys know and stuff. And I think in fact, you heard him talking about it at the ceremony. So
let me ask you one question about the Cowboys prayer. Those of you who are 70 or 80 that used to go to the Old Timers baseball dinner in Tulsa, could I see a show of your hands? Are there a few still left? Years ago in the 50s?
Nobody, Clem.
Nobody. There was a minister that always gave a baseball invocation.
Right.
I think better is when I'm driving alone. By the time I got to Tulsa, I had thought about a Cowboys prayer, and that was used at 150 performances of the national finals, and I don't know, several hundred Cowboys, ranchers, and so forth. And this was given at Jim's funeral because he liked this, and this was his hat. Now we're going to sell you 2 for 1. One money, you get 2 objects, okay?
And it's the last hat.
Last hat that he wore.
I'm starting at $1,000.
$1,000.
$1,000.
We got $1,000 now. 15.
Where are you?
Got
Jim Shoulders last
15,
Cowboy hat.
15, 12 and a half. Take 12 and a half. $1,000 now. $1,250. At $1,000 now. 12. It's only money. $1,000 now. $1,250. Would you give $1,250 at this table right here? Do you know anybody that would? We need help. $1,000 to give $1,250. I've got $1,000. Maybe give it $1,250. Give it 12 and a half. Two. Last hat that Jim Shoulders had. My God.
I'm rethinking my $1,000 opening bid.
Well, I might throw in with you and bid 50 more if you don't get it from these tight son of a guns down here.
$1,000. How about we have?
Come on, Sam. Go. Where are you? Yes, we got 12 and a half. Now 15 to you down there. You're out. This man's in 12 and a half to give 1,500. 12 and a half right here will give 15. 15 now, 17 and a half. At 15 now, 17.5.
What's wrong
at
with
15,
this side?
17.5 now, $2,000. Now $2,000. Just money. Now 25. Hit him one good lick. 2,500. Believe it would. 25 now 3. At 25 to give 3,000. At 25 to bid 3 to bid 3. Now 35. 35. I've got 3,000 to give 35. I've got 3,000 to give 35. Take 32 and a half one time. Just one time because it's you. 3,000 give 32.50. 3,000 give. Yes, now 3,500. Now 3,500. 32.5 to give 500. Now 4,000. Blow him out of the tub. 4,000. 4,000. Tell you what we could do. We could all give 4,000 and send Dave Rader and Semco a little bill for another 1,000 and really make this thing right. Let's think about that for a minute. Next, it's your turn. See, this is take turns. Their turn. Now it's your turn.
We're at 4, right?
4,000. You give $4,000. 4,000 got 37.50 now 4. 37.5 to give 4,000 one time. 37.5 to give 4,000. 4,000 one time. Now 4,500. Out of 4 to give 45. 44 to give 5. 4 to give 5 to give 5. I'm bidding $4,000 to give 45. I've got 4,000 to give 45. No telling what this is worth. No telling what it's worth. This man to this sport's what Babe Ruth and Gehrig and Musial and all those people put together are for baseball, and we're only bid $4,500. Only bid that much. Should be 3 or 4 times that much. How are you down there? Is he weak? Then take him to the bar one more time. That's still open. Will you give? Where were we? We're at 4 or 45. We're at 4, weren't we? Will you give 4,500? One more time, 4,500. Try him one more time. We are going to sell it for $4,000 right down here. Thank you so much. Who bought it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Robotic. The name, sir? Tom Kipple, is that right? Tom, thank you much. Tom.
Thank you so much, Tom. God bless you.
The Cowboy
Thank you, sir.
Prayer and Jim Shoulders hat. Wait, you're not done, Clem. Okay. You're not done. We've got a couple of items to sell.
Okay.
You're doing a heck of a job as an auctioneer. Somebody that knows how to do this, you're doing well with this, Clem. Here's the original artwork of our dinner poster tonight, and signed by both Billy Tubbs and Eddie Sutton. Both have signed this. This is the original artwork for our dinner program and dinner poster. You had your chance to buy it for $5. Now you're going to pay more. Billy Tubbs, Eddie Sutton signed it. Here's the original artwork. Clem, let's get it started here. $500.
Oh, yes, now 5, now 750, now 1,000. That's 750 to give 1,000. That's 750 to give $1,000. That's $750,000 one time. This is a man told the people that regardless of the referee and how much they stink, we don't boo them down here. Hell, that's worth $750. That's me. I'm $750.
All right,
I'm an Aggie, and I'm going to put some more in for Eddie Sutton in a minute. $750 to give $1,000. I'll give $750 to give $1,000. I'd $750 to give. We're not going to drop it down to about this 8 stuff and $850. I can't keep up with that. I don't cipher that well. $750 now $1,000. At $750 to give $1,000. Help the deal here. Help the deal. $1,000. $1,000. Okay, now $1,250. At $1,000 to give $1,250. At $1,000 to bid $1,250. At $1,000 to give $12.5 one time. At $1,000 to bid $1,250. At $1,000 to bid $1,250. At $1,000 to bid $1,250. At $1,000 to bid, don't lose this. At $1,000 to bid $1,250. Are you all through? Are you all through? Anybody give $1,250? $1,250. Last chance. 2 giants, 2 legends, 2 heroes, 2 signatures. Give $1,250 anybody? We sold it your way, sir, again, way down there.
$1,000. Thank you much. We got a name here.
Incidentally, with the hat, I forgot to tell you, it was Jim's wishes that that his memorial fund would go to the Justin Crisis Fund. You know, they send their people to the major rodeos and help the cowboys with their whatever injury they have. And the address is on there. You can make that out to them, or a copy of it if you want to send it there, okay? And it's right here for you. We got something else?
That $4,000 raised for Jim's hat and the Cowboy Prayer goes to Sharon and Jim's favorite charity, too. So make sure they know that.
Yeah.
Okay, one more live auction item. This is a special one. Gary Bartlett had gone around before and got the signatures of 14 Division I past and present college basketball coaches, both men and women's. All the names are on there. The main people tonight: Ken Hayes, absolutely, Billy Tubbs, Eddie Sutton, Nolan Richardson, Sean Sutton, Scott Sutton, Ken Trickey, Jim King, Billy Gillespie, James Dickey, Doug Wojak, and the lovely Sherry Cole. That makes
holy
right
cow, $1,000.
That's right.
You got it right here. 1,000, not
$1,000
$1,250.
right there. This is the ball signed by 14 Division I coaches. You pay more than that on eBay just to get Sherry to sign something for you. We want $1,200 over here.
$1,250 right there. Now
finally,
15.
Someone on that side of the room. 15.
12 and a half to give 15. 12 and a half to give 15. Now I got 15. Now 17.5. At 15, 17.5. Now 2,000. At 17.50 to give 2,000. Lord, I'd give 1,000. That'd just see Shelley Cole walk up the sideline here. 17 to give 2,000. Yeah. You can always smell the roses. Yeah, I'm too dirty. Yes, 2,000.
Try it.
And now 2,500. Hit him a $500 thing.
Sherry.
2,000.
Show him the ball.
2,000.
Sherry.
2,000, you have 2,500. 2,000, yeah. Atta girl, boy, look at that. That's worth another 500 right there.
Yeah, sure.
2,000, yes, sirree. 2,000. Holy cow. I don't know if Donna brought her credit card here or not tonight. Man, I'd like to bid 2,500. Got 2,000 over here. We need 2,250. 2,250, give 2,250 anyone. Gosh, don't lose this. Just think of the talent and the years all these people have put in.
It's your buddy Ken Hayes, right there.
We've been telling lies down there about the 1-0 basketball game that I was in and made the only point in. I'll tell you about that sometime. Yes, sir. That was back when he played outside and the wind blew in March. Yes, sir.
Ted Owens on here, too.
Ted Owens. Holy cow. And all the Suttons are on there?
Sean Sutton, Scott
Holy
Sutton.
cow.
Ken Trickey, Jim
We're hung
King.
at $2,000
right.
on that. I can't believe it. Who'll give $2,250 down here? Here's where all the money was a while ago, and this is a late well that we just brought in. $2,000 to give $2,250. I bid $2,000 to give $2,250. At $2,000 to give $2,250. All through. Last time around, we sold it $2,250.
Congratulations. Thank you, Clem.
Goodbye.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Clem. Always good to be in one of your roasts. Thank you, Clem, very much. All right. Now we have a few people who are here tonight, very special guests who are here to honor and recognize Eddie Sutton and Billy Tubbs. These are friends of Eddie's, friends of Billy's, a few rare cases, friends of both of them. We want to have you stand, be recognized, and stand for a moment so the TV camera can get a shot of you here. Let's start with the current coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Sean Sutton. Sean, where are you? Stand, be recognized. Sean Sutton, right there. Yet another Sutton, the head basketball coach at Oral Roberts University. Welcome, Scott Sutton. Scott? And the mother of all this basketball talent, and the wife of one, Patsy Sutton. Where's Patsy? Hey, Patsy. Our University of Tulsa head basketball coach, Doug Wojak. Coach? Welcome back to Tulsa, former TU coach, former Arkansas coach, and most recently of the Mexican Olympic team. Welcome back, the polka dot man, Nolan Richardson. Former Tulsa coach, former Illinois coach, the head coach of the Kansas Jayhawks. Welcome back, Coach Bill Self. A former Tulsa assistant with Bill, former Texas A&M head coach, now the head coach of the Wildcats of Kentucky. Great to have him back in Tulsa. Billy Gillespie. Coach? Former Texas Tech head coach, longtime OSU assistant coach of both Eddie Sutton, now with Sean Sutton. Great to have, as always, James Dickey. James? Coach, good to have you. The University of Tulsa women's head basketball coach, Charlene Thomas Swinson, doing a great job for the TU women's basketball. Women's basketball coach at Oral Roberts University, Jerry Finkbeiner. Really got that program rolling too. Jerry? Former OU player, former OU assistant, Billy's son, Tommy Tubbs is back. Tommy, where are you? Tommy, good to see you. And the head basketball coach of the Oklahoma University women's team, Sherry Cole. Coach? Number of famous retired coaches with us here tonight. Former Kansas Jayhawk, former ORU coach, Ted Owens. Coach? Former Tulsa basketball coach at Northeastern State. Always great to have back in Tulsa. Now a resident of Muskogee, Ken Hayes. Coach? Former Oral Roberts University coach. Great to see him. Looking good. Ken Trickey. Coach, where are you? Former TU head basketball coach, one of TU's all-time great basketball players, Jim Country King is here. Jim? Special guest, the doctor of the Oklahoma A&M Aggies and the Oklahoma State Cowboys for some 4 decades or possibly even close to a century, Dr. Donald Cooper. Doc, where are you? Number of former OSU players and OU players here this evening. Please welcome one of the most famous Sooners, Tulsa's own, Wayman Tisdale. Wayman. From Oklahoma State University, one of their stars, Randy Rutherford. Randy, where are you tonight? Another Sooner, Anthony Bowie. Anthony, where are you? Anthony, be recognized here. Other former Cowboy, Daniel Bobick. Daniel now with our 66ers group here, the NBA development team. Thank you, Daniel. He played football and basketball for the Cowboys, did both in great fashion. Melvin Gilliam. Melvin, welcome back. And Brian Montanati, also a former Cowboy, here tonight. Brian, thank you. By the way, Tubby Smith, another former Tulsa coach, former Kentucky coach, now the Minnesota coach, was planning to be here tonight, had everything set, apparently got to the airport in Minneapolis a little late for his flight. They had given his seat away. Tubby begged him right outside the door to the airplane, please let me on. I've got to get down here to honor two great friends of mine, Eddie Sutton and Billy Tubbs. And the girl said, who are they? So Tubby went for another direction. He said, that doesn't matter. You have to know me, right? I'm the new head basketball coach at the University of Minnesota. The lady looked at him and said, I don't know who you are either, and I gave your seat away. So Tubby is not here, with apologies from Tubby Smith. We do have in attendance tonight some of our honored high school basketball stars, who basically we used as bait to get some of our big-name coaches here tonight. We have checked with the NCAA, and this does not count as contacts, Coach, so everything is all right. From Sapulpa High School, and now committed to the University of Tennessee women's program, Alicia Brewer and her head coach, Darlene Caleb, from Sapulpa. Where are you, ladies? Bixby Spartan and committed to the University of Tulsa, Virginia Doerr, her head coach, Janet Upshaw, from Bixby High School. From Pawnee High, verbally committed to Oklahoma State to play her basketball, Keaton Page and head coach David Page from Pawnee High. Finally, the superstar of this year's Oklahoma High School basketball boys recruiting class, currently being recruited by more than 300 schools across the nation. The Tulsa Sports Charities wants to personally thank this gentleman for not committing before this dinner tonight so we could suck in all of these high-profile college basketball coaches. And trust me, these coaches aren't here to recruit Billy or Eddie. They all want a piece of this guy, Vertigus High's own Rodney Clark and his uncle, head coach Kelly Clark. Rodney? Rodney, stand up again. Stand up again. He looks like 6'5", doesn't he, Billy? Huh, Coach? So? Yeah, Rodney Clark. One final thing, I have to ask, can we bring the lights up just for a moment, please? I'd like the lights up. I've just gone through all this list tonight. Will any coach or player who's been a head coach or an assistant coach at the University of Tulsa in some point of their career stand up? Bill, Billy, everybody stand up who has been part of a TU coaching program here. Let's see in the room here. Come on, guys, don't be shy. Ken, where are you? That says something about the University of Tulsa. Congratulations, guys. We're ready now to meet the legends. We direct your attention to the video screen. We begin with Oklahoma State's Eddie Sutton.
The legend, Eddie Sutton, 798 career victories. The first coach to take 4 different teams to the NCAA tournament. At his alma mater, Oklahoma State, the former Cowboy player came back home in 1990 and was introduced by his coach and mentor, Mr. Henry Iba.
It's a great day for me and for Oklahoma State, and I'm so happy they're home and back home where they belong.
You know, from the time that I first decided that I wanted to coach, and that was right here at Oklahoma State, I've always had a dream that one day I might come back to my alma mater.
Eddie Sutton led OSU to 13 NCAA postseason tournament appearances, 6 trips to the Sweet 16, 3 Elite Eights, and 2 Final Fours. Eddie Sutton, OSU basketball.
For 16 seasons, he was Oklahoma State basketball, 1990 to 2006. Cowboy fans to your feet. Strike up the band. Ride 'em, Cowboys. Here's head coach Eddie Sutton. Welcome, Coach. Have a seat. Coach Eddie Sutton here.
A lot of pleasant memories.
It does, doesn't it, Coach? Let's start first with some of your ties to Tulsa. There are a lot of ties here.
You know, I started my coaching career at Tulsa Central, and I was only 23 years old, and they gave me the head coaching position, which I think probably shocked a lot of people. But that really got me started off, because I had some wonderful young men, and still see some of them occasionally. Fred Blakemore's here tonight. He was on that ball club. But Tulsa Central was a great high school, and they taught me a lot. There were some wonderful teachers there. And I really had made up my mind. Patsy was teaching home ec out of Monroe Junior High, that I would stay in Tulsa. We love Tulsa. In fact, we're going to move back over here one of these days. But and I felt like that we could really have an impact on all those young kids that we were coaching. But I was here for 7 years and enjoyed every minute of it.
Well, we have another honoree tonight who also has a bit of a Tulsa connection. Again, let's check the video screen as we welcome our other legend, Billy Tubbs.
It was an era of Oklahoma basketball like the Sooner Nation, in fact, like the basketball nation had never seen before. It was Billy Ball. The native Tulsa, Billy Tubbs, a 3-year basketball letter winner at Tulsa Central High School, came to OU for the 1980-81 season. He took over a program that had only 2 20-win seasons since 1907 and had only made 6 postseason appearances in the school's history. In the next 14 seasons, Tubbs took OU to 13 postseason tournament appearances. His Oklahoma record, 333 and 132, a 71.6 winning percentage. There were 4 trips to the NIT, 9 to the NCAA tournament, and in 1988, his Sooners played for the national championship. 4 times, Billy was named Big 8 Coach of the Year, and he was the National Coach of the Year in 1983 and again in 1985. In 30 seasons of basketball at Lamar, Oklahoma, and TCU, the Tubbs career record, 624 wins, 326 losses, and he was the 9th coach to record 100 victories at 3 different schools. But what he was most known for was the wide-open NBA style that became known as Billy Ball.
Well, I didn't give it the name Billy Ball, but what Billy Ball is in my imagination or in my thoughts, Billy Ball is an up-tempo style basketball that basically thrives off of the defense, and that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. They know you score a lot of points, but they think you're just coming down the floor and shooting the ball. But Billy Ball is very aggressive defense, hard-nosed defense, a lot of trapping, a lot of full-court pressing, and getting the ball and taking the first good available shot that you've seen. We didn't have to make 6 passes, 8 passes before we could shoot. Everybody knew their role, and when they got their shot, whether it was on the first pass, the second pass, or whatever, the ball was going to go up, and then we were going to crash the board. So Billy Ball is a great blend of really aggressive defense and aggressive offense, and I'm an impatient person. I want to see points go on that board. You know, I don't care what sport it is, I'm interested in offense. I want to see people score. I'm not a defensive guy. I don't think people go to the game, any sport, to see people play defense. They go to see you score. And that's what Billy Ball is all about, is scoring. No one could ever accuse us of point shaving, because we were going to score as many points as we possibly could and take people out early. And, you know, I learned early in life that when you get somebody down, if you let them back up, they might whip you. So we had that philosophy of, if you get them down, keep them down, and keep going till the end of the game.
In Tubbs' first season, Oklahoma scored 100 points just one time in 27 games. Over the next 13 seasons, the Sooners would go over the century mark 127 times, including 173 points in one game. It was the season opener of 1989 against American International.
We did flirt with scoring 100 points in the first half of the game, but that team had great ability to score, and it was a carryover from the 87-88 team, and we did it with great defense. And we had the ability during those 2 years to score on anybody, and we could put 150 on you easy. We had two teams that scored 99 against us and lost by 52. And those were the two best scoring machines that I've ever had, but our defense was the best that had ever been.
It didn't take Billy long to find the player that would make Billy Ball take off.
When I arrived at the University of Oklahoma, they told me that there was a young man over in Tulsa at Booker T. Washington that was really a good player by the name of Wayman Tisdale. He fit our offensive schemes perfectly. He was the inside guy that we needed to play down on the low block, that we could get him the ball and he could score. Plus, he was a fantastic rebounder. He had great physical strength. He was very explosive. And when I watched Wayman play in high school, I knew that we had to have that player. And so I watched him play a lot of games, got close to his family.
Oh, he didn't do too much, you know. He joined church. No, Billy, I mean, it was just that he made me laugh. And when he recruited me, I was recruited by over 200 or 300 schools. Well, I don't know. We lost count. What the funniest thing was, Billy Tubbs came in and started cracking jokes and really got really comfortable with the family. Out of all the choices I had, it was Oklahoma.
I hope my legacy at Oklahoma, if I had a choice, would be that I helped start that program on a national basis, where people think of you as a national player, your university, and that I helped Oklahoma basketball kind of parallel Oklahoma football to an extent. And that we were honest, that we had fun in our program, that we played all out, that we were really hard workers, and hard work gets the job done for you, and that we just helped build Oklahoma to the program that it is right now and that it is going to remain.
All right, Sooner fans, to your feet. Welcome Billy Tubbs, the man of Billy Ball. You're playing your song, Coach, Boomer Sooner. Hey, Coach. Right there. You sit right there. Okay. Sit next to the coach. Well, Billy, not yours. I've got mine right here.
What?
When did you first meet or remember meeting Eddie Sutton?
And I don't even think Eddie remembers this, but he went over his career at Tulsa Central High, but I was assistant coach at Lamar University. And there was one of the players that we were recruiting. I don't remember his name because we didn't get him. And so I met with Eddie, and he was nice enough. You were playing in the state tournament in Oklahoma City, and I met with you and Grady Skillern in your room recruiting that guy, and that was the first time that I met Coach Sutton. And he doesn't probably remember this, but he was the guest speaker at our clinic when I was assistant coach at North Texas, and I picked you up at the airport. You were coaching at Arkansas, and I had great respect for Eddie, and I always thought, you know, when I grew up and got to be a coach, I try to like to follow Eddie and be like him.
Are you proud of him, Coach?
But that was really the first time that I met Eddie, and I met him a couple of times in Hutch when he was either at Arkansas or Creighton. I was with Gene Robbins at North Texas, and we had lunch one day with you and Patsy because I think you must. I don't know where you were then. Where were you?
I think I was at Creighton.
Well, anyway, maybe we were recruiting the same player. I don't know why we were visiting with you if you didn't have a player. But those are occasions that I remember that I don't know if Eddie did or not.
Now, Coach, our research had you two legends playing 12 times between Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kentucky, and TCU. Do you remember your first trip against Eddie Sutton was at Kentucky, right, Billy?
Yep. I remember we really got screwed in that game, too. We did. We made a basket right before the buzzer, and obviously they didn't count it. We lost by 1. Remember that one?
It was a very close
and
game.
In fact, we had big 8 officials working the game. And so, yeah, I remember that game, and it was a good, tough game. It was a great game. And let me just tell you one thing that I learned from Eddie. And honestly, I did. I learned a lot of stuff from Eddie because really, when I was assistant coach and I watched coaches throughout the nation and copied things here and there. And we have, in scheduling, we have the Eddie rule in our scheduling because when I went to Oklahoma, Eddie was at Arkansas at the time and owed Oklahoma, and Dave Bliss had gone down and played Eddie the year before. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And then, so they were supposed to return the game the following year, my first year at Oklahoma, and Eddie calls me and he goes, Coach, we really got a scheduling problem, got a TV game or something. Could you wait for a year and play us the next year? And I go, sure, because I thought it was a great deal for me because we weren't ready to play them because they were a national caliber team. So the next year when we get ready to schedule, I call Eddie, and he had another problem with his scheduling. and we couldn't get a date worked out. And then it turned into Eddie didn't answer the phone because I'd go, call Eddie Sutton. So she'd say, Eddie's not in. And Eddie was out more than any damn guy I've ever known. So anyway, so I go, okay, here's the deal. I call him, and they go, Eddie has gone to lunch. So I go to the secretary and say, okay, here's what we do. Call him back, tell him it's Pat Foster, who had been his assistant coach and now was the head coach at Lamar University. So now he's at lunch, right? So she goes, okay. And so I pick up the phone, and the secretary goes, Coach Foster, he's right here. So I talked to Eddie, but Eddie doesn't budge.
Hey, let me tell you,
he is not playing. He still owes Oklahoma a game, right?
No.
Although when I tell him that, he goes,
know this.
Arkansas owes you a game. I don't owe you a game.
Okay.
That's
I'll tell you what I did when I couldn't
anybody if
return
you
the
don't
game,
have to.
Billy, and you may have forgotten this, because we were recruiting Harvey Grant, and he was going to come to Kentucky.
Right.
And he got in some trouble in junior college up there,
There's no
and we backed off. And so that was my amends to you. I sent you Harvey Grant.
Well, and I appreciate that. But I also remember the reason you sent me Harvey Grant, because I heard later on that you were over the salary cap that year.
Oh, Coach.
My bad.
Oh. All right. Now, the OU-OSU rivalry started with you guys 1991. Coach, you went down to Oklahoma that first game. It must have just killed Billy. Held the Sooners to 76 points. That was the same season they had scored, 172 or 74 against that poor team. What was it like? It must have killed you, Coach, to only have 76 points.
No, I just wanted to win, and we were happy to win because Eddie's, without a doubt, a great coach. I mean, all you got to do is look at his record and the places he's been. He's always won, and he always plays very, very tough defense. And there's certain people that you're not going to be able to score a lot against because, one, if they have good guards and you can't disrupt the guard play, which I think Coach Sutton always had. I thought he had two things always in that made him a successful coach. One, They always handled the ball good. They were very tough physically, and they always had good shooters. And so we weren't surprised at the game. And if you go back and look at the Oklahoma State-Oklahoma series, I don't care how good you are and what your record is, it doesn't matter when you get to that particular game, whether it's in Stillwater or whether it's in Norman. You can be the greatest team in the world against the worst team in the world, and that game just turns around because anything can happen. It's like that in football. It's like that in basketball. You can throw records out the window. And any time that you play, you're just happy to get a win. In fact, Wayman and I were just talking there, and we did recap that most of the games, especially that we played in Stillwater, were one-point games. And so, no, I wasn't surprised at that. You're just happy to get a win in that game.
Coach, talk about your impression of Billy Ball. It must have killed you as a Mr. Iba defensive guru to watch these guys come down.
I tell you what, I always admired his coaching because, and he really wasn't given the credit for the defensive play. You know, I don't think you win in any team sport unless you play solid defense, whether it's football, basketball, whatever it might be. And I always thought that his defense was so much better. You can't score that many points unless you force the other team into a lot of turnovers, because that other team is going to go down and milk the clock probably some, hold the ball. So you really can't score many points. And I tell you one thing his teams always did, which I admire in any coach, they played their butts off. I'm telling you, they played with high intensity. And I don't know what they always did against everybody else, but they did it against us.
Well, and I attribute that a lot to our coach and our players, but that was just always a good, hard, tough game. And I have to go back and say that I never really got into the Bedlam series like a lot of people, because when I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, my teams were Oklahoma football, and I hardly knew, to be honest, I hardly knew much about Oklahoma basketball, Oklahoma University basketball. But I listened to every game that Oklahoma State played. I love Tulsa University, and as I think you still do, but you get a lot of the feedback from the University of Arkansas. So those were pretty much the teams I followed. But where I really wanted to go to school was Oklahoma State. And of course, since
it was Oklahoma A&M then, Billy.
Well, whatever. And but the Coach Iba really, I think he felt like I lacked defense because I really only wanted to shoot. And I wasn't too interested in playing defense, but those were really, really my teams. So I never grew up hating any particular school, and I'd always pull for Oklahoma State and had a lot of respect for them simply because Coach Iba was really good to us when I was at Lamar. I don't think you were playing, but I know Mo was playing, because they even actually came to Beaumont and played us at the height of their careers, and we returned the games in Stillwater, so we had some good connections there. So I never really got into that so-called hate. I just knew it was a good game. The great thing about it was always, the arenas were always full, and everybody had a passion for the game, which made it great.
Well, these two coaches combined, of course, for 4 appearances in the Final Four, the pinnacle of college basketball. For Coach Sutton, of course, took his Arkansas Razorbacks there, 77-78 with a 32-4 team, and then twice with Oklahoma State, 94-95, 27-10, and the 31-4 team, 03-04. Coach, the Final Four experiences.
Well, I think Billy will tell you, and any coach will tell you that's had that opportunity, it's what you really shoot for, and you hope someday you have the horses, the thoroughbreds, to allow you to get there. But you know, the thing with the parity we have in the game today, what John Wooden did at UCLA can never happen again. You'll never see that. But there's been so many great coaches that never got to take a team to the Final Four. Jack Hartman was a great coach. He never got a ball club there. Marv Harshman at Washington. There are just so many. You can go right down the line how many coaches. There's an element of luck when you get to the Sweet 16. Those teams are all good, and if you don't come with your A-plus game, you're in jeopardy of losing. And there's always a risk you lose a player somewhere along the line, or you get somebody in foul trouble in a big game. Because when we got beat by UCLA in '95, I thought we had beaten teams that were just as good. We'd beaten Alabama, and they had McVeigh, and we had then we played Wake Forest, and they had Duncan, and we played Massachusetts, and they had 2 guys that went on to be great players in the pros. And we got up to UCLA, and you know, it was a freaky thing, but Randy Rutherford shot a shot from deep in the corner with about 2 minutes to go, and got fouled. I mean, they almost ripped his arm off. It's right in front of our bench. Well, it was a no call. They didn't call it, and it really turned that game around. So I am just so thrilled that I had the opportunity to take the teams there like we did. And let me say this, you know, the Bedlam series, I think Billy's right. I think the fans get more cranked up for that, and maybe some of the times the teams do, although if you're not ready to play, you'll get ready to play, especially if you're at home or even if you're on the road. But, you know, someone's always asked me, well, how'd you and Billy get along? And I said, well, we didn't go to tea all the time together, but I said it was intense battles on the court. I mean, they were big-time games, but we've always been good friends. We've made a couple of commercials together and played golf together, and I think that's the way it should be. I think once a season's over, you ought to continue to have the fellowship with all the coaches that you play against.
Billy, your Final Four, of course. Hey, Coach. Billy's Final Four was 1988, all the way to the national championship game. What the hell happened? How could we have lost to Kansas?
I don't. Well, we played them in Kansas City once. I mean, that particular time, and we lost to Kansas. And you must be one of those guys that bet on the game, because I'm in airports around the nation, and people come up and tell me they lost money on my ass at Kansas. And so, and you know, that ain't my fault, but. It was a great game. How did we lose to them? Because, one, they really put together a really, really solid game. And actually, in our style, we forced them to play our style, which I still to this day say Larry Brown really didn't want to do. But they pushed the ball with us. They ran the floor. And if you remember, the game at halftime was 50-50. Yeah. A lot of people think one of the greatest halves ever played in an NCAA final. And then the game deteriorated to about, I think, 26 or 28 points scored by each team in the finals. But when the game was over, I felt obviously bad about losing, but I thought our team gave an all-out effort. And, Coach, as you remember, by the time that you get to the finals of the NCAA tournament, you're a very, very tired team. I mean, you're really worn out. And I think with the playing in Kansas and playing at Kemper, I think they had a slight advantage. We're the only team in the history of the NCAA tournament that when you have the practice day on the Final Four, that when you walk out on the floor to practice and it's open to the public and you have 13,000 people stand and boo you, that was our honor, because it was all Kansas, all Missouri, and they weren't for us. We just knew they'd pull for us, but they didn't.
You know, one thing about when you get to Final Four, unlike it is in the NBA where it's a series and usually the best team wins, well, in college, if Oklahoma played Kansas 5 times, Oklahoma would win 3 or 4 games. They were better, and it's just one of those things. Kansas played over their head, and it's tough to walk away when that happens to you. But it's happened to all of us. If you stay in coaching, it's going to happen to everybody.
I think you made a good point earlier, Eddie. Getting to the finals and winning the NCAA tournament has to do a lot with the luck of the draw and who you draw and what that team's coming off of the game before. And I think if we played any other team, and especially we played on a home floor pretty much in the Final Four, as opposed to if we'd have called. I really thought if we'd have played Duke, we'd have won it all, because we'd have been a lot more excited. And regardless of what you say, it's tougher to get your team up when you're playing a team for the 3rd time, even if it's in a conference tournament. But I remember one thing on the Final Four that happened to us that I was impressed with after we lost in the 87 region of the NCAA tournament. Stacey King and Harvey and Tony Martin walked into my office and said, "Coach, we're going to Final Four next year." And I go, "Really? That's neat. Why are we going to Final Four?" And they said, Tony was about a 6th or 7th man, and Stacey was just starting to come into his own a little bit. And they said, "Because we can play defense the way you want to play it. We can press all day. We can get out and run the floor." And Stacey King had great feel for the press. He was our safety valve, had great feel for the game. And I go, "Hey, that's fine. Let's do it." And it was their idea, and stuck with that on the team. And I knew early in practice, 3 weeks into practice, we had a very special team. And we played Oklahoma State in the first conference game that year, Leonard Hamilton being the coach. And I'll never forget this because it was like 120 to something. And Leonard said after the game that this is going to be a Final Four team. And I didn't know he was smart enough to realize that, but I'm kidding, of course. But I appreciated that, and I thought that, and we really felt like we had a chance to go all the way, and it was a team that was dedicated to doing that.
Coach Sutton, you're so identified with the Oklahoma State family and the entire university, and I see as you're always wearing your lapel, the number 10, and I think back to those players, those special people that Oklahoma State lost, and the impact it had on the program and on you personally.
Well, it's the toughest thing I think any coach would ever go through, and it certainly was a tragedy because all 10 of those people were just quality human beings. And I wear this in honor of them, and there's not a day goes by that I don't think of one of them. And when I'm in the arena, I go to that memorial every day that I'm there just to once again tell them how much I loved them and how much I cared for them. And the tragedy of that was the plane. I had ridden on that plane more times than anybody, and that pilot was the safest pilot that I'd ever been around. And I'd rather get on a private aircraft if I know the airplane and the pilot than I would get on a commercial plane. And you know, accidents happen just like in an automobile. I used to feel a lot safer in an airplane than I do driving down the highway. But it had a tremendous impact on all of us. I think our lives changed. And I'll tell you, it changed my life. I think the boys will tell you right today, there's not a day goes by that I don't call them and tell them I love them. And certainly I tell that to Patsy because you never know. The same thing could happen to you. When I depart, I want my family to know how much I cared for them.
Coach. One of the classic moments of Billy Ball at the University of Oklahoma basketball, and we just had to bring it back to you. If you remember, the University of Missouri, my alma mater, came to Norman in 1989 for a friendly contest with Billy Tubbs. Some Oklahoma fans took exceptions to some calls by an outstanding officiating crew. They, in turn, asked Coach Tubbs if he would help them out a bit and go to the public address microphone. Please watch the video.
Requested that regardless of how terrible the officiating is, do not throw stuff.
That's unbelievable!
Do you remember that, Coach?
Barely. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
I've been reminded that several times.
Well, we have someone who wants to remind you again. Ed Hightower, the official of that game.
Congratulations to Coach Sutton, Coach Tubbs. This is a great moment. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Billy, I just wanted to remind you that I'm still getting treatment for that technical foul on my finger. Billy, thank you. And thank you, Coach Sutton, my favorite.
You know, I have to say this, Chris, because that's the first time that I ever had a technical foul called on me when somebody gave me a job to do, and I went up and did a hell of a job. Nothing came on that floor after that or for several years, I understand. I really don't think anything was on the floor, but Ed came over and asked me first to say, I think this is right, Ed, because Ed goes, Billy, some things that come out on the floor, would you go up and tell them not to throw stuff on the floor? And I go, nope, I don't do that. And he threatened me. He says he didn't threaten me, but anytime an official does this, that's a threat.
That's a threat.
So I just personally felt like that if I was going to, get a technical, I wanted to do it my way. And, I missed a word or two in here. I could have cleaned that up just a little bit better, but really, I just said what was in my heart. And They didn't throw anything on the floor, and then, you know, I've been bashed forever for that. And so I don't do any commercials anymore on the sideline.
You know, Billy, I know you did this intentionally. When you got kicked out of Gallagher, Iba, 94, I think's when it was.
Ed did that one too. Exactly.
What happened, Coach?
What happened?
Well, it was about a 15, 17-point game. There's only about 10 seconds to go, and I don't think he wanted to come down and shake hands with me. So he says, I'm taking an early exit.
No, actually, it was actually a carryover from the game we were just talking about, the Missouri game, because Ed was out there, and you had us beat. You just whipped our butt that night, and even the officials couldn't have helped us that night. And basically, it was like, 20 or 30 seconds to go in the game, and your fans were rude. They started throwing stuff on the floor. Really, those hands or whatever, those number one plastic hands or whatever, and they were just throwing them all over the floor. And I'm going to Ed, hey, where's the tea, baby? And, hey, there was no tea. So I just want to make sure that they called tea on that place, so they did. They called it on me and threw me out.
You probably don't
But that's a true story, and it really, I would have shaken your hand, really. I mean, that had nothing to do with you.
You probably don't remember this, and I didn't see it at the time, but I've been told several times when he's walking out, this policeman had his arms out, you know, trying to lead the way, and he had his hat in one hand, and Billy somehow knocked his hat out of his hand, and then kicked it up in the stands. Did you remember that?
No, I didn't do that. I admit everything that I've been accused of, and I really did. But no, that wasn't. I didn't do that.
Then, I don't know. I've had
Hey,
a
the
dozen
Oklahoma
people tell
State
me
fans
that.
can make up a lot of stuff. I mean, really.
Well, now, here's something not made up. We were touring the country last year on a project for the OU Legacy Court, the history of Oklahoma basketball, celebrating their 100th anniversary. We were asked to go to former coaches, former players, and have them do a greeting that they'd play on the Lloyd Noble Center screen, telling all the fans, happy 100th anniversary. We were at Lamar University, visited with the distinguished athletic director and former Oklahoma basketball coach, Billy Tubbs, and here is Coach Tubbs' greeting to the Oklahoma fans on their centennial.
I'm Billy Tubbs, former coach at the University of Oklahoma basketball, and I just want to wish the university a great 100-year celebration. And don't throw shit on the floor. What can I say?
Hadn't been a thing
Thanks,
come on the
Chris.
floor since. Yeah, Coach.
Hey, the media always just drubs you, man. I mean, wow, you don't give anybody a break.
Some final thoughts. Eddie, some of the memories of playing Coach Tubbs, some of your memories of OSU as you wrap the evening here?
Well, you know, everywhere I coached except Creighton, there were rivalries. Kentucky, it's Indiana and Louisville, and certainly at Arkansas was the University of Texas because we're in the old Southwest Conference. But I don't think that the rivalry would parallel what it is between the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And I think the fans sometimes carry it too far, but coaches can't control that. But I always had great respect for Billy, and I don't think he was ever given enough credit for the great coach that he is. But I really enjoyed those games. I mean, we had some battles, and unlike it is today with some situations, coaches I don't think get along as well. Sometimes one gets accused of cheating on a recruit or something. So I don't think it's as close as it was back when Billy and I were playing, and that's why when they called and asked me if I had any problems being with Billy, I said no. I said we're friends, and so it's been a wonderful evening, and I want to thank all of the people that came out tonight. That's a really worthwhile, those charities that they do here. So thanks for coming.
What was the question?
What a great coach Eddie Sutton is the second best coach in Oklahoma, you told me.
Exactly. In the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know, I echo Eddie's sentiments. I always enjoyed playing against him. I'm not saying I like to play against him because they were always a good team, obviously well coached, and as I said earlier, hard to force into turnovers, hard to get out, really tough to get out of their game plan. A lot of teams you can force out of the game plan because you can force those turnovers and get the game going up and down the floor. And I do remember one time when you had Big Country and you had Brooks Thompson, which both of them should have been at Oklahoma. We screwed that deal up. But truly, I thought you really had a great team, and you scored over 100 points, I think, on us in the Lloyd Noble Arena. And so we didn't cherish necessarily playing them because they were good, soundly coached, obviously, but good ball handlers. And I've always been impressed with the ability that Eddie had, even when he was at Arkansas. I remember you beating Houston. Houston was running 50Z half-court defense, and you were drilling shots, Moncrief and those guys drilling shots from the corner. And so he always had good teams, and I thought it was really a good relationship. But some of the players that we recruited, we had guys, basically, go back to Harvey Grant, when he came to Oklahoma, he's from South Carolina, and he didn't know Oklahoma State was in our conference. So we had guys that really weren't that in tune. When you're getting guys from all over the United States to come in, your local guys understand the rivalry, but the other guys don't really get that tied up into it. But once they walk into that arena and see the passion that's in the game, it becomes a really tough game. And I go back to even before Eddie came, and when Leonard Hamilton was there, and Coach Hansen, who I dearly loved. I thought he was just a wonderful person. And so, again, I never got into that hate mode. And for the most part, I was really treated well at Oklahoma State, have a lot of good friends there. And so I think it's a great rivalry. I enjoy watching the football and the basketball games now on TV. And I thought you had some great battles with Kelvin. And Pat Tubbs and I always enjoyed that. By the way, do you mind if I just introduce Pat Tubbs? Pat Tubbs, would you stand up right there? That's really been the basketball coach in my career. And Pat and I watch a lot of games, and she tells me what's going on and why it happened and all that kind of stuff. But we've always enjoyed watching those games, and it's really great. And I just need a little bit of an invitation to get back to Tulsa. Tulsa's always been a special place to me. My brother and my sister-in-law live here. I have a nephew that lives here. And when I grew up, I thought this was really the only place you could live. And I've always cherished a lot of great memories here, and going to Central High where Eddie coached. And certainly, I think Eddie hit it really close to home when everybody thought that Norm Stewart and I didn't like each other. And I still see Norm today, and we get along great. Johnny Orr and the coaches back then. Now, I'm going to tell you, we battled during the game, and we fought hard, but when the game was over, we might stay mad for a day, but we left it there and went on about it. And I go back, and one of the things that kind of I grew up with that maybe made me so the dirty, rotten scoundrel, or whatever you want to call it, was watching Coach Iba, Coach Hank Iba, and Coach Clarence Iba on the floor out at the Fairgrounds Pavilion when Oklahoma A&M is playing Tulsa. They had to pull them apart. They were at each other. We're talking ready to go fist fight. Now, those are brothers. And I grew up watching that, and I thought that's the way it was supposed to be. I always kicked dirt on home plate when I was playing baseball. That's the way I grew up. So I grew up in this tradition, and I enjoyed it. Great event. If we helped at all in raising money for what a great charity and the great causes, it's just an honor and a real privilege to be here. So thank you very much.
Coach? I want to add one other thing. I want to thank all the coaches, because this is recruiting time. And for you guys to give up your time to come here tonight, so many of you are my friends, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
I just want to say that Wayman could hardly run and jump and play when I recruited him. And I made him, he made me what I am today, and I appreciate it, Wayman Tisdale. And Anthony Bowie's here someplace. Yeah. I was very fortunate that I had a lot of great players. Great players make great coaches, and I really, really appreciate those guys.
Well, Billy, Eddie, I think for all the fans here in this area and everybody else, thanks for the memories, guys. It's been a great night. Thank you, Coach. We would, one other thing, we'd like to, hey, Coach, stay right here. Eddie, Billy, wait just a second. We have a presentation to make. We also like the coaches we introduced tonight. Please come up on the stage. You want one big team picture. Ed Hightower, you get next to Billy. Come on up here. We have two special presentations. I want to give these to the coaches here. Gary Bartlett of the Tulsa Sports Charities. There are plaques with the OSU and the OU courts there. And guys, come on up. Coaches, come on up and be part of our team picture here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Thanks, Coach.
Chris, get in the picture.
You just got to get the feeling of it and stuff. And
that's what people do.
Thank you, buddy. Guys, come on up. Coaches, players, Wayman, come on, guys. Boy, Rutherford, come on. Come on, guys. Players and coaches, come on up on stage. Get our photo here. Tommy, where's Coach Tubbs? Tommy, come on. Ken Hayes, Ken Trickey, come on up.
Back in the back, Scott. You're a big guy.